What is up, Whale family? This is Nytmare bringing you Hangtime, where we talk NBA Top Shot, the market, fantasy basketball, fantasy sports, all kinds of other stuff that is hoops and hype combined. Welcome on a Labor Day weekend if you're in the U.S. to this edition of Hangtime. Have a lot to get to, even beyond the NBA. So let's start real quick and talk about the market and what's going on in the world of hoops. So NBA Top Shot continues to have a strong week. But before we get to that, what's going on in the land of the NBA itself? Well, we have the Hall of Fame ceremony happening at the end of the week. And actually, if it weren't for COVID, this would be a ceremony that I would want to be at live, near and dear to my heart, with the Truth, Paul Pierce, as well as C-Web going into the hall. Springfield is just around the corner for me, but unfortunately, being that I'm still trying to take proper precautions with COVID and some sensitivities in my family, I will not be there. But excited to see the Truth finally get his due and some of his greater respect around the league. I think he was a very underrated player, and I think we've talked in past episodes about my love for the Fab Five freshmen and Chris Webber and what he did for the culture. So I do know that we have a couple of big Notre Dame, we have a couple of big Duke, and a couple of big Carolina college basketball fans in our community. So bear with me while I embrace what is Chris Webber and what he's meant to the league, all timeouts aside during his college career. Also wanted to touch on something I thought was really cool. So there was someone that reached out and said, they were a fan of Harrison Barnes for everything that he had done for Top Shot and with his investment and whatnot. They had gone and scooped up all of the floor moments, which was 155 of them. And Barnes and his team actually saw it, reached back out to this person and sent them a signed jersey and postcard and whatnot and acknowledged him on Twitter. So really cool that we could see that level of engagement from a player directly with someone using the NBA Top Shot platform, and they have their eyes on it and obviously are embedded and really caring for what's going on in the platform. So just let you know about other opportunities that might be coming up, right? There might be more involvement from the players directly with the fans, and this is a really cool way to kind of gamify your fandom and get access that you wouldn't otherwise have. So let's talk about the market itself. If we take a look at the market over the past 7 days since we last talked, we did have a subtle dip, but the market remained in good standing and returned to over $1 billion market cap here over the past couple of days. And when I say that dip, this is relative to what we're looking at here. It only dropped down to maybe, $30 million or so off of the peak that I had reached. So amazing sales volume. Good to see that this is sustaining. And this is with, lighter transactional volume too. This wasn't a huge influx of transactions. So this has to do with the value of the moments being relatively maintained at that high level, as we've seen the run up with ETH, as we've seen them run up with the NFT market and that continued upcycle. Top Shot continues to be in a good position. And likewise, the whale vault continue to show good growth as well, right? So on Moment Ranks, which is our benchmark here, approximately $39 million. We talked last week, it was at about $37 million. Interestingly, if we look at Evaluate Market and the whale vault, we're now over the $50 million threshold at $52 million versus 46 last week. So obviously a different methodology, but I will welcome a return to that $50 to $75 million range that we were in during the peak during the spring, and welcome the run up should we continue to escalate and go beyond that, right? I like to see us approach that $100 million mark when we go into a true NFT cycle here, where we're going to go to reach new all-time highs. Relative to the individual sets, we did see a slight dip on both base series on that 2-month growth, but it is compressed, right? So, we're looking at something that's only slightly a dip versus its high that it reached not long ago, but still month over month, we're looking at significant growth. So I'm not too concerned about this. Interestingly, base series 2 versus a week prior at the snapshot, I think it was at 830. Yep, 830. So literally 1 week ago, base set series 2 seemed to maintain its value. Series 1 fell off a little bit. I can only speculate that perhaps, people were looking for opportunistic buys when they saw that the market upcycle was happening. And now that we're literally in it, those buys aren't as easy to find, right? A lot of the value buys are kind of hidden and you have to look for it a little bit more. Certainly that's what's happening with me. So maybe that's what's causing that. But again, nothing to be concerned about. The values have maintained their elevated rate versus the 2-month benchmark they were at prior. Now, interestingly here, we had talked about this run up in new users that we had saw that coincided with the WNBA promotion. And there's a lot of talk that maybe that was people that had set up second accounts because there was a promotion, whereas if you were a new user, you had an opportunity to get in queue or to get a pack, whereas it was a different process for existing users. So to go and see this again after that distribution had already happened tells me that maybe some of that is genuine. Certainly there were some people that tried to game the system, but the fact that this happened in the most recent week and we continue to see what is unprecedented really for months, right? We had no run up like that. All things being relative, this is about 10,000 new users or something like that. We're going from 530 and change to 545 and change, but still seeing this on the graph happen concurrently after having nothing like it for months is a good sign, especially if it wasn't purely driven by people trying to bot or get new accounts to get that speculative drop there. And also, you guys have seen, I've been using this Jokic moment as kind of a benchmark for myself. It was one of the bargain buys that I was hunting. Didn't pull the trigger when it was at $49 or whatever. We've continued to see it escalate. So I believe last week when we took a look at it, it was $155. Right now, it's gone back down to $129. Interestingly, the other moment that I've been using for this benchmark is this Halliburton, which I think at the time when I was trying to look at possible really good buys on Series 1 opportunities or rookies, this was $148, right? So for a 4-badge rookie, $150, it had escalated up to, I think, $385 last week is where it was at. And right now it's at $389. So kind of a mixed bag there, but that tells me that we're not losing momentum. There's still momentum in the market and in some of these value plays. So maybe not the best time to go in and scoop, but who knows, right? I could be wrong and things could go exponentially up. But I do like to see that if you do have some of these moments, that momentum's continuing to carry. When you look at individual sets, one thing that I am really intrigued about is the continued momentum of the WNBA set. Obviously, this is an outlier here, right? But when you look at the entire best of 2021 and all 26 moments, near the $600 mark, that has shown some sustained growth that didn't just dump on the market. So it's great to see all the media partnerships that they had really done, and they had a substantial push from what they had done on ESPN to just a real spray of all media outlets on what they were doing and rolling out some of their stars, as well as talking about their top, I think it was their top 25 players that were announced and things of that nature. So great to see that the Top Shot market continues to value what is happening there. And that's despite what seemed to have been a tech issue that arose with their fandom drop that they had done. If you had participated in held moments through that launch, I believe people were rewarded by getting a fandom pack that had a special age of moment. And even people within our own community were saying that they didn't anticipate getting it or they didn't think they qualified and they still got a pack. So, there was some murmurs and discussion on, hey, was this a mistake by Top Shot? Was this an error? We don't want to, encourage people that are just flipping and things of that nature. But either way, even with that having happened, to see this continued growth rate on these sets is good to see. So hopefully it was just a mistake, and going forward that won't happen. But either way, the interest in the WNBA is here to stay. And then that's pretty much it for what's going on with Top Shot at the moment. There are no challenges. There are no showcase challenges. It's kind of a lull, possibly the calm before the storm, right? We'll see. We do know that, on social media, they've had some small scale giveaways. For example, they've, they're having something here where you can kind of identify a squad, and it's relatively small giveaways. I think they're giving away 10 packs or something like this to people who had responded and participated in this social media activity here, but nothing on a grand scale like they typically would do for a marketing push. So maybe we're on the cusp of a run it back drop. No one really knows when that's going to happen, but that really is the next thing that everyone's looking forward to. Like we mentioned, perhaps this is the calm before the storm. One other thing that people were talking about over the past week was possible OpenSea integration for people to be able to bring over their items on Flow, to bring their Top Shot moments and list them directly on what is the biggest marketplace for NFTs right now. And really part of the conversation driver for that was, if you look at OpenSea itself, you can see they outline their investment partners. And of course, one of them is Dapper Labs, right? So does that mean that there's going to be an integration possibly down the line? Obviously, there's already things going on with Polygon and other chains with OpenSea. Whether that would make sense for the ecosystem that they're trying to build on Top Shot is probably what the real driver here is going to be, right? They're going to determine when is the right time to try to have some interoperability or be able to bridge over to other platforms like that and allow people to take it off. But I think being that we're still in beta, being that we're still under 1 million users, I would anticipate they're going to hold on to the exclusivity of where those NFTs reside for the time being until they really get things ramped up and, could benefit more from that cross-functional, cross-platform availability for NFT sales. So here's what I really wanted to talk about today. As everybody knows, we are on the cusp of the NFL season opening. That being said, some interesting things in the Twitterverse today. Patrick Ewing alluding to Roham doing something right now. As he says right here, he may or may not be working on something relative to the NFL. And a little survey here with asking people, hey, if there was some NFL NFTs dropped during the NBA season, would it affect the product for NBA Top Shot? Maybe that's something that they're mulling over. Not quite sure what is going on there. But other people have also linked to Roham dropping hints along the way of possible integrations or it could just be coincidence. But either way, I think people are much too deliberate with things like this. I know when I craft a tweet and try to use emojis, occasionally I try to get cute, but for the most part, it's with specific purpose. So dropping a soccer ball and dropping American football here could be a coincidence, or it could be a prelude to something more that is in the works, right? But on the general NFL, let's talk about the NFL season kicking off. I got a kick out of this. ESPN ran their simulation. I don't put much stock into it, but I do like to take a look at it, much like I would run Madden simulations of an entire season prior to one starting, because I would geek like that. Long story short, ESPN says the Buffalo Bills will come out on top and win the Super Bowl. I think that is far-fetched, especially with what we got going on in the AFC East, the Big Mac. If you don't know, you're going to know. But I am looking forward to a season where there's a lot of variables and we can see, who's going to come out on top in the AFC, having a little bit more, more of an open opportunity for a lot of teams to step up. We have some powerhouses, but certainly we know the flaws that are involved in a lot of them. So let's talk about Whale and the football season. What are we going to do? Do we have fantasy football for Whale? So we have a committee that had volunteered, and shout out to our committee. They put in a lot of work over multiple weeks. So we got Radkey, we got Hooper Dude, we got Moneyball. They worked together to not bring you just one opportunity to gamify the NFL season, but 4 chances to play per week and get involved with NFL football. So how does it work? Well, first of all, we have an NFL Pick'em League. So what that means is every week you can log in and you can pick who you think will win the individual games, right? And that's one contest. Set who you think the winners will be, let it go. You have an opportunity to win. There's 3 winners on that per week, whoever did the best, right? So first place, $250, I believe $100 for second place, $50 for third. Then also for every night game. If you want to do more, not everybody does, but if you do, we have prop bets, which are really cool. Like you're just betting on different random outcomes of different stats of that one game. So say there's a Sunday night game, you can pick, hey, who's going to have more touchdowns, the first quarterback or the second quarterback, etc. Winner take all, $100 each time. So 4 opportunities to play. I really like the way that they put this together because there's a lot of different components. You could be good at pick 'em, or maybe you're better at prop bets, or maybe you don't have the time to play 4 times. You just want to pop in once in a while and get involved. You can do that. You don't need to play every day. You don't need to play every game. You don't need to play every week. Do it however you like. Some people don't like long-term season leagues because if you miss a week, you feel like you're out of the running, you're out of luck. That's not what's happening here. We're giving away whale every week, 4 different opportunities to get involved. So shout out to the team that was able to put this together. Shout out to Feria for calling out the Belichick hoodie. And let's take a look a little bit more in depth on exactly how this works, right? So like we just talked about, pick 'em. You just choose a winner for each game. Simple. You get in the picks by a certain time each week. So that'll be before the Thursday game at 8 o'clock. And here are the prizes: $250, $100, $50 every week. We have a link you'll be able to click, set up your team, do your picks each week easy. Secondly, the player props. Every time there's a night game, which is 8 p.m., every 8 something start, every Thursday, Sunday, and Monday. Go in prior to that, make your picks on the random stats, and you have a chance to win. Here's an example of what that pick'em would look like, because a lot of people understand, hey, I pick what team's going to win, but I don't know exactly what pick'em is. You go in, there's questions like this. Will Tom Brady have more than 2.5 touchdowns or less? Will Dak Prescott have more than 2.5 touchdowns or less? Sometimes it's random stuff. Will the Gatorade color be red or blue? That would be a Super Bowl, right? We're not dumping Gatorade on the first game of the season unless you're a really sorry franchise. And I'm not going to put anyone on that spot like that right now. But you get the idea, right? Will there be a Gronk spike in the end zone? Things like that. Who will have more rushing yards, this team or that team? So you don't even need to know about football. Say you don't follow football. I know people all the time that have won these pools and won these leagues by having their pet or their wife or just taking guesses at it. But know that no matter what you do, you will hold yourself accountable for any smack talk that we do have in the chat room and on Hangtime. So that is going to happen for sure. And so what happens with the Pick'em League? Click the link that we have in the announcement, and you'll come to this page. It's the Whale League. And you can see there's a bunch of our community members have already signed up. You go ahead and join the group. The password is Whale Shark. All right, now we are in. Here is the key here, right? We need our entry where we pick to be the same as our Discord name. So what you do is you click on this. There is a gear up here to control the name of your settings, your accounts, or your entries here. Click that, and you can name it whatever you want. So I'm going to name this. Let's just say I have an alt account that says DC is horrible. DC is horrible. Save settings. There we go. DC is horrible is in here. I can go into the individual weeks within Whale, and then I can, go ahead and set my picks for that week. So who will win the matchup? Tampa Bay, of course, with Tommy, etc. All the way down. Make my picks, submit it, and then boom, you are good for the week. So guys, once again, 4 opportunities to play every week. You don't need to be involved in all of them. You don't need to be involved in any of them. You can skip and only play every other week, however you want to do it. When you feel like doing some gamification for football, if you are a Whale roll holder, hop on over to the links, go to the Top Shot room. Each night game, there will be a link posted to a Google form. You go in and make your prop bets, and we'll be able to see it and track it there. So real easy, in and out, opportunity to win Whale every single time. And this is all much thanks due to our amazing committee. Once again, Radkey, Hooper Dude, and Moneyball that said, no, Nytmare. We don't want one. We have too many people that really love football and people that don't know a ton about it, and we want to give them a chance at Whale too. Let's do 4 times a week. Let's chop it up. Let's make it not matter if you miss one. Let's make it all about fun and giving away a ton of Whale. I said, sure, guys. It's your show. It's your show. I'm just here to help relay the message. So Awesome opportunity for everyone to win some. Hope to see everyone participate and hope to see more of the Big Mac as the season continues. Would like to talk on a little bit of community issues that have been brought up, or community opportunities, issues, concerns, different things that were talked about over the past week while we have the chance here. Someone mentioned, this is really cool what we're doing with football. What about European soccer? Is that a possibility? I would love to do European soccer. I don't know a ton about it myself, although I do. When I manage to gather up the boys, which happens every couple years, we say, hey, let's all get consoles so that we can, despite our busy lives living far apart, now and then get together and have this little mini tournament, or play each other online. We always settle on FIFA. Why? Because no one knows it, but it's awesome to watch and we get super involved. So I would definitely play. What I'd like to say is this is our first foray into a committee structure, kind of running something for an initiative for Wales. So props to the Top Shot community and our sports collectibles community, really, for coming together to do this. If this is successful, I don't see why we can't carry that on to other things, whether it be other sports, whether it's European soccer, etc. So let's see how this works. Let's measure its inevitable success and make the case to move forward and do some other cool stuff, even beyond standard sports leagues. I can think of other stuff with regards to collectibles, or maybe, individual fights or things of that nature that we could do. So again, this is a building block. We've made it really far. We're doing some cool new stuff. Let's carry that forward and see what the next steps of this evolution will be. One other thing I also wanted to mention is people are saying, hey, we're talking Top Shot, but there's more than that going on here. We're talking about NFL football. Sometimes we get into collectibles. A lot of times we talk smack. Do we want to get a name change for this segment to something different than Hangtime? And guys, if you guys want something different, I'm all for it. The name of the segment, when it was relative to just Top Shot, made sense. I inherited the name. Someone suggested it, and I said, sure, I'll run with it, but I don't have an emotional attachment to it. So if you guys would like it to be something else, set up a vote, think of some ideas, bring it forward. I'd be more than happy to change it to better reflect what you guys want as a community and what we're going to do moving forward. And then, really quick, someone asked, is there a channel for the Fantasy League? This is not the first time this has been brought up. Someone else mentioned it. I'm 50-50 on that, just because I don't love Discord channel creep where we continue to just have multiple channels for various things. I do like where you can hone in and focus on it specifically, but I do also think that there's some value to the mixing of topics happening in a room if it can be concentrated to some degree. So if this becomes the sports gaming, the sports collectibles, the sports smack talk, the sports, enthusiast room, I'd almost prefer that relative to a specific room just on the Fantasy League. But, I'm 50-50. I could be swayed either way, right? So we'll see. One other thing I wanted to make mention is we do have a really cool thing going on. So there's a partnership that we're kind of working on, a showcase series with a really cool comic book house called Encode Graphics. They make a sprawling network of different cool things, from physicals to comic books that'll tie back to the NFTs to, scannable tags that'll be in the physicals that'll tie back into metaverse locations, an avatar project, gaming that's going to be tied into it, etc. So it was more than I could even encapsulate, being the comic book geek that I am, in one project showcase. So we're going to have a series of showcases cadenced every couple of weeks over the next month or two to kind of show you guys everything that they have. And in turn, because there's such a immersive project, it's going to give us the opportunity to build and be part of it as we do that. So the first step of that is there is a character that's being written into this series titled The Nexus, which really has to do with the metaverse and kind of immersing and doing stuff in there and coming back out. And so this character is basically going to be the whale community character. We are going to vote on what the characteristics of this character is, and that's how he's going to be depicted when we finally see them. We're likely going to vote down the line on stuff like whether he has a pet companion, does he have a particular tick or characteristic or habit, or what's he going to do at certain plot points, right? So please, if you haven't seen it, check out the announcements in the announcements channel. Head over to the community hub location on the sidebar on Discord. Go to encode X whale and vote on the characteristics of this guy. I really want to see tech body armor used and not a leather jacket, but whatever you guys want is fine. There's lots of different things to vote on, and stay tuned because I've lined up some like amazing apps that are super duper high quality, some other giveaways and really cool stuff that'll be integrated. So when I announce the showcase, the first one will be this Friday at 1 p.m. I'd encourage you guys to check it out, see what they have, but continue to come because they have cool stuff for you guys. And it's really going to be an interactive experience. It's not going to be just being talked to or shown what they do. Possibly, yeah, I love apps too. This is possibly the coolest app I would have once I get my hands on them. And there are a series, and we're talking about possibly if you collect all within the series, does that mean something else? We will see. This is a very cool project, and I'm interested to see the evolution because, in large part, it's going to be driven by you guys. Just taking a look through the chat. We got some college football banter. I love it. Rads is a big Notre Dame guy. He almost had a heart attack, I would think, last night. Came out on top, though, so glad to see you're still with us, Rads. Someone asking if I'm scared. Don't know what it's relevant to. Probably DC talking smack. Tigbo showing his allegiance, possibly Team DC. Tigbo might be in the running to get in the scope and be some targets of some things we got going on here. We will see. I see props for individual NFL teams. Excited that everyone else is excited. And that's about it. I think you guys are focused. You're honed in on the NFL, and I cannot blame you. So, looking forward to the smack talk that inevitably will come. Once again, thanks to our committee for all the work that they've done, making graphics, writing things up, putting together this, and they'll be continuing running things going forward. If you have questions or concerns about the whale football games that we have, please feel free to reach out to myself or them. Everyone's excited and wants to help each other. Whether you have knowledge about the NFL and know how to play these games or not, we encourage you to participate. Please reach out. We'll tell you. We'll walk you through whatever you need to do. We want to make sure that everyone has a chance to play, get involved, and the byproduct of playing something like Pick'em is that you learn a little bit about stats, attributes, and how then you can use that when we go back to something like the Swish League or something using our NBA Top Shot cards for fantasy sports. So if you've never delved in fantasy, this is a great way to get started and just learn the baby steps before you get into something bigger. All right, everyone. Now we're getting odds on me versus DC. Come on. If someone wants to make money, go ahead and make that bet. I'll get you some. Everyone, have a great week. I will talk to you, I am sure, during the week, but especially when these NFL games kick off. Talk to you soon.